Hey, what's up everyone? Sean here, and I just wanted to make this video. It will be kind of like a sort of a rambling piece, or just for me to talk about something regarding to the end of 2025. It's that time of the year. It's right after that one holiday celebration, that's Christmas, and hopefully everyone had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. First off. I just wanted to make this like sort of video as a send off for the year because at least for this time, because not that I consistently do this. It's just that there was quite a bit that happened to me, so I just thought it was worth making a video out of it, make a little bit of a journal or vlog out of it, and put it out there for you guys. So anyways, 2020, oh my goodness, I can't talk today. 2025 has been quite a active year throughout, in terms of like things that happened to me. But first off, I mean, the first sort of part, or first, I guess you could say, first half was a little bit of a slog. Not in a bad way. It was just kind of a little slow, at least from what I can remember anyway. I even tried to like have my YouTube channel as like a reference because I do reference a lot. And so during that part of 2025, it was just like basically the continuation of my sort of detailing hobby, right? And a lot of projects were done, a lot more washing has been done, and I think I did like a number of projects, including adding a pressure washer reel and stuff like that. I think it was this year. I want to say, but like the the continuation, of course, has been pretty consistent. I've kind of refined more of my process. It's just little bits of pieces here and there, but like it all kind of adds up to something for me to just like mention at least. So basically, it's just been going as strong as ever, and I don't plan to stop for at least a while anyway. We'll see where it goes. You just never know, right? Things could turn for the worse, or it actually turns for the better. We'll see. We'll see about where the detailing thing goes, but I think it's been a lot of fun to just like show off for the channel, and therefore showing off to the rest of the world in a way, like show off how I do it, even though yeah, it's not like it's significantly any different, but it's just like little bits and pieces. Like if you know, you know, basically. Like if you're really into the hobby, you may find some like differences with each other's like sort of like habits and sort of quirks of how they approach the detailing process. Basically, there might be little bits that are like really different, noticeably for some people's eyes, and but for everyone else, like that's like more on the casual side of things. They just just wash their car and just that's it. Don't really think about it. It may be the same, and that's very understandable. It's just one of those hobbies that doesn't really visually appear as different, unless there are. I mean, there's always some exceptions, of course. There are people who use this instead of that, and they do this instead of that. So it can be very interesting, and it's just also something that I'm always learning as someone who is enthusiastic about car detailing, and I, of course, would like to continue that, not just detailing, but the actual like sort of the research, the knowledge, right? Gathering more knowledge. That's always like another aspect to it as well. It's a whole nother part to it, I feel. And there's something always for me to learn and pick up on from other people's ideas and try to make that my own. And I feel the same for everybody else. I feel like everyone also is doing the same as well. It's not just me. So anyways, detailing still going strong, and again, I'll definitely continue doing that for the channel. It's just been fun, and I have been getting quite a bit of like engagement in comparison to the gaming side of things. So I still like both enough to do both on the channel. So that's gonna keep going. as of excuse me, as of now. Another thing that happened for 2025, now this is more for the channel, is the Hypecast. This is more relating to the Hypecast, and it's the fact that we fully have gone full YouTube. The Hypecast used to be pretty much like a Twitch live streaming sort of show. It used to be just a YouTube video series long time ago with more people on board, but as time passed on, things have changed, and it kind of just boiled down to myself and Zoardo. We've really tried to like adapt things to kind of like streamline our process. We've like changed days and schedules and stuff like that to get around our work schedules and such like that. And of course, with the platforms that we show our sort of like enthusiasm for our interests. And even though, yeah, it is mostly me talking a lot of times, and Zawardo kind of like tries to fill in with his own. But generally he lets me take the wheel a lot of times, which is fine. He does have his own take on a number of subjects too, so it all works out at the end, I feel. And the biggest change for this year for the Hypecast was definitely that the full move to YouTube because of what's been going on with Twitch. More from like a moral standpoint, really, and it's the fact that like Twitch has been very inconsistent with like their banning policies and how they've been handling certain situations, and it's just been one after another. And of course, Twitch has its own sort of failure counts, right? And this year alone has been kind of chaotic, so to say, including of course the whole the stuff with Emiru and a lot of the other things that have been happening too, relating to that as well. And yet Twitch hasn't done anything significant really, and it's just such a shame and disappointment that such a large platform like Twitch, when it comes to streaming, it's just like this horrible influence. They don't act like this genuine role model to those who look to find some sort of inspiration or anything to take away from Twitch. Is just not that for this year alone. So anyways, after all that, taken into consideration with other such factors as well, it just made more sense, for at least from my perspective, to just go to YouTube, because this channel is already partnered with YouTube. So the monetization, all that stuff is already here. I already have all the subscription tools and whatever for anyone who wants to partake in the memberships and all that stuff. So, back at Twitch, I've also tried to sort of pursue the Twitch partnership too, but it's just difficult. I had some sort of ball rolling, but it never got any bigger. It never really snowballed to anything bigger. It just kind of stayed this sort of ham-sized snowball with a small but kind of a prevalent following. But with everything else factoring into it, it just made less and less sense from both a practical and moral standpoint on my part. And so that's why that happened. So I think, though, it's been working out pretty well for streaming on YouTube in terms of like the steps and everything. Also, I found out like what were like the problems from a technical side of things too on OBS, and so it's been pretty consistent ever since. Whenever we did stream, it's if it's not one, it's the other. So like if Twitch isn't working, it's OBS is not working, and this and that. So it's been kind of a hair puller in some moments, but we got that mostly ironed out. and I think it's been pretty good. Now at the moment, of course, we've been on a pretty long break, which happens every year pretty much during December because Eduardo heads out to Florida for for a personal vacation every year. So that's why we kind of like take this opportunity to just take a little bit of breather before we march into the new year and continue our thing on the podcast. And we always will do it once a week on a Saturday around 8 o'clock ish Pacific time. So we always are live streaming at that time and day, and that's what we have been trying to do consistently. And again, it's been working out pretty well, and I would like to have us continue that for at least a longer time. We'll see where it goes, and we'll go with the flow pretty much. Next up on the list here, I have on the side. I guess I can include this in here. It is the Switch 2 coming out, but I do have to say though that overall, so far, my impressions on the Switch 2 is that I think it really had a very hollow launch. There are some games worth having, I guess, if you really are sticking to Switch 2. The one I can really think of though from Nintendo is just Donkey Kong Bonanza. And even I haven't like fully finished it. I did get through a pretty good chunk of it, but I haven't gotten around to actually fully finished it just because of like the distractions I've been letting happen, if that makes sense. Which kind of goes into my overall personality for this year, anyway, or I guess you could say character that I've been having for not only this year but for the previous years. But yeah, anyways, the Switch 2 has been a little underwhelming, unfortunately. I mean, yes, it is just a better Switch. I've been playing it here and there, I will say, with Pokemon and all that stuff. But speaking of that, Pokemon has also been a hollow product. It's also been a disappointment. It really doesn't add anything to the table overall. There are new things that it is definitely trying to do, but it just doesn't execute it all that well. It's a playable game, yeah, mind you, but it could have been just so much better if they actually go with more polish. They let the team put a little more effort into it. And it could be anything like it's the execs not letting them do anything or do much, or is it the actual team that's really doing the minimum work and putting out this product, right? Very minimum viable product, and that's a possibility always. Who knows what, right? We can only have so many guesses, and at the end of the day, it could all be wrong. But anyway, all that stuff has been really factoring into how really Nintendo has been doing as of now and all this year. Is just not all that great. I don't say it's bad objectively, but also just very questionable at best, and very few moments that we actually can like cherish here and there. Nintendo's just been on a downslope in terms of just like being that cool gaming company that we've always have seen in the past with Nintendo. The spirit is just not there right now, and hopefully that'll change, soonish, maybe next year. That's a bit of that sort of hopium, right? But I have a feeling that it'll take a while longer though for Nintendo to get back on its feet and really get things going. Even like Metroid was like not all that impressing either, from what I've heard. I've considered picking it up at one point, but hearing from like most people, it has its moments, but it just doesn't sound like that $70 price worth of a Metroid title. So it's just been disappointing all around for gaming when it comes to like these AAA companies. So I just been feeling a little jaded as ever, I guess. But That's kind of like been my feeling about gaming as a whole for the last 5 years, which is why this detailing sort of like hobby revived right within me, and uh, it has been stronger than ever because I feel like gaming has not been it, so to say. So yeah, that's just how I've been feeling about the Switch 2 ever since I got it, thanks to GameStop. I got lucky and just bought the bundle, went ahead and got it because it had most things that I wanted from the bundle anyway, including the memory card, the of course the unit itself, the Mario Kart game, which also that's been a disappointment at that too. And basically, yeah, I got it, but I'm not really like on it, like, white on snow or anything, which again is disappointing. So we'll see with more titles coming out. But again, it'll take a longer time for Nintendo to get back on its feet. I have a feeling anyway. And then came along, speaking of games, a little game called Uma Musume. Uma Musume, I would say, honestly, and you can like take this however you will, but I feel like honestly, Uma Musume is my personal game of the year because of this impact it had on not only on myself in a way, but of course the world. Ever since global version came out, it just had this like huge resurgence, and even I think even more than that. It was just a phenomenon within the gaming space anyway. It's not like, your grandma and grandpa are like, oh, Uma Musume, like, they would be with like Mario and Pikachu or something like that, or Sonic even. But like, it's just been a hit within the community. I mean, I think every or most people within the gaming community is familiar with the name Uma Musume, or like at least the concept of horse girls anyway. And it's just been such a wild ride thus far because of how far and how much of a hit it has been. No one really ever saw this coming, and even of course side games did not see this coming with the servers being out of whack because there's so many people playing it. I remember there was a time when the connection was like very wonky, and the characters just stood there still because it's loading in right, all the game did and stuff like that. And it's just a funny thing to watch, but it was kind of grueling at times during those parts of the game. But luckily, side games, at least the dev team for Uma Musume, has been very on the ball in the way, or at least enough to satisfy its player base thus far, especially with that surprising update that really added more to the gameplay and really refined the process of it, right, up to this point, which has never happened with the JP version anyway, which is actually pretty significant if you really think about it, right, as a player. If you know, you know. And so it really shows of how much they take this global phenomenon to heart. And it's really cool to see, of course, the impact it has not only on its player base, of course, in the gaming side of things, but also the actual material that it's based off of, the source material, right, which is horse racing, in Japan anyway, at least. And to the point where the players help donate a lot of their money to horses such as Haruraro, may she rest in peace, to get a lot of the grass, right? And also help out others such as, Aishin Flash and Meisho Dodo's farms, right? Get repaired and get the proper fixes and stuff like that. And of course, the crowdfunding has been insane for those campaigns. And to see that actually really paints some sort of perspective, right? Like sometimes these games, man, they actually do a service back to the real thing, right? The main inspiration. Unlike, well, certain organizations that have been trying to get their foot at the door or whatever you want to say, dip their foot into the pool or whatever. I don't want to say here, but you know, if you know, again, you know, it's maybe the phrase of it here for the video, but yeah, it's so insane, right? And I've been on it so much. It's been taking up my time from my other gacha games I play, which is Genshin Impact, Star Rail, and of course ZZZ. It's just been kind of a battle, really, trying to keep up with all these games. And of course, there's going to be at least two more because of Neverness to Everness and Ananta eventually coming into the map here. And so it's going to be a real struggle for me to keep up with it. Plus all the other stuff I want to do, like work or now I want to do, I have to do work, but all the other stuff I want to do, like car detailing and making videos and playing other games, right? It's going to be such a juggle, and not to mention, anime to keep up with, movies to keep up with, all this other stuff. There's so much media to keep up with that it's just been very difficult to kind of go back and forth and really pick and choose, especially with the dailies. It's just you think it's such a small thing, but it really just adds up. And so everything taking into consideration is going to be pretty hard. But I would say though, again, Uma Musume is my personal game of the years, and so therefore I've been definitely putting that over the other three gacha games I just mentioned, and it's been such an experience. It has its ups and downs, of course. It's not a perfect game by any means. Still, it's still, kind of like behind, right? Even with the accelerated scheduling, which that of itself is making it hard as well. The game, though, with all its flaws and everything else, is still something I will really wanting to keep up with for a longer time. As someone who's still waiting on certain characters, such as Nakayama Festa, and of course Mr. CB, which will eventually happen a year from now, pretty much, as we speak. So hopefully that year will come around, soon enough, and I will have at least either of the two or whatever, right? Especially with Mr. CB. She is, for those who know, Uma Musume stuff, she is my sort of Oshi at the moment, or not even at the moment. She's kind of been that character for me for ever since I looked up her sort of profile from Uma Musume and all that stuff. Like, there's just something about her that has this charm, this certain charm that's specifically for me that I really like for female characters, and it's just like, waifu, whatever, blah, 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 all that stuff. So, yes, funny as that sounds, yes, she is my favorite Uma Musume of all. And then there's Nakayama, and then there's so much so much after, right? It's hard to really like pick and choose after that too, because there's so many good characters. Such a good game in its own regard. Even if with the mobile game tactics, the gacha, right? The gacha, of course, is such a brutal thing, and of course, the biggest part of Uma Musume is the fact that it's, well, a gacha game, which that of itself is the unfortunate thing, but it is what it is. You gotta pull for characters. The whole game is essentially like a pachinko machine. I've said it before, I will continue to say it. It is like a pachinko machine with all its colors and the hits, right? That crack moments, right? If you know what I'm saying. It just, really hits the brain in such a way that pachinko hits too, and all the other slot machine tactics and everything else. Anyway, I like Uma Musume. I really love it that it has this impact, that to the point where even I have taken sort of interest in watching horse racing now, right? Animakina is literally gonna happen today as of this video, and that's like the last big race of the year, and all the big, horses pop in and do their thing, right? It's going to be it's going to be a fest, right? It's going to be something for the fans, and the horse racing has continued to grow interests, especially now with Musume Global, right? Really bringing in more of that sort of eyes, and all the other stuff now too. Like it's been popping up, like Star Blossom from the manga, right? Cinderella Grey just ended this year, but the anime is still gonna keep going with its production, still going on, continuing, and Uma Musume, man, who would have thought? I started Uma Musume from the anime side, and then going into the game global version, right? Back when 2018 was around, or was it like 2018-ish? That's when me and my friend checked out Uma Musume, and it was really cool for what it is, and it kind of just grew from there. It was kind of like the seed, and it just kind of slowly grew from there. Especially by the time the global version came out. So I took a shot at it, and I just love it. It's the game for me. And again, I will continue like all the other things I've said in this video. Oh yeah, and not to mention, I won one of the champion meets, which is Libra Cup. That was my first big win. Felt really good about it, and also the Kita-san Black rerun banner. Also got that done. I got Kita-san Black SSR card, all fully decked out, max limit broken. So I'm pretty damn happy with that. So what a big W to end on for when it comes to Uma Musume this year. And of course, there's going to be way more stuff coming in for next year as well. And funny enough, and let me add this before we move on to the next thing, is that I was born in 1990, right? For those who don't know, which is a lot of you. But I was born in 1990, and guess what? If you go by the Chinese zodiac stuff, guess what that was? That was the year of the horse. And so once I made that revelation, which was actually not too long ago, I was like, wow, maybe this was all predestined somehow that I would like horses, which I did as a kid, which is actually true. That's no cap right there. But yeah, like eventually I would get into Uma Musume, and then of course horse racing right after that. It's like it's such a crazy thing to think about for myself. So it's like, has it always been there for me to have this happen to me, or there's definitely more to it than that, of course. But like, is that a factor though, right? For me, the fact that, well, not only I was born on year of the horse, but the year of the horse is literally coming up. So, of course, hopefully, side games will do something about that, for not only for the JP version, but of course for the global version as well. So I definitely would like to see what they have cooking for that year. As someone who is basically the horse, right, by Chinese zodiac. Which, of course, which is like, let me clarify things. This is also something the Japanese take from the Chinese zodiac as well. Not just the Chinese, but yeah, the Japanese also have it on the calendar as well. So the next one is pretty significant, but I'll try to keep this short for the sake of my time, because I gotta head to the gym after this, which is funny. But anyway, the next one I wanted to bring up for this video is EVO. This was the year also for me to come back to EVO. It was such a fun experience overall. It was a nice welcome back. It gave me all the reminders of just like the things you got to deal with going to EVO, but also the good things that come from EVO as well, going there, which is of course my friends, seeing my friends after 6 years of not seeing them. It was such a eye opener, mind blower, or whatever you want to call it, right? And all I gotta say is it was awesome to just see everybody, and that fun kind of like came back. That sort of that warmth, right, came back to my heart. to help really kind of defrost it, right? After all the years I've kind of, putting myself away from like the rest of the world because of like the pandemic thing and, what happened to my dad and all that stuff. A lot of things, kind of closed off myself, which, I did by choice, of course, but all those factors, like maybe, my dog is barking. Anyway, um, it was it was such a nice welcome back. Point being, so Evo was a good one, although I did get sick after that. Funny enough, but it wasn't COVID. It was just the con flu. It was overall though, yeah, like it gave me everything I kind of like experienced from cons, right? Even the coughing right after, which is kind of funny. It's like that again. It's like that welcome back. Like, hey, here's a nice reminder of like everything you have to deal with as a con goer, so to say. But yeah, again, Evo was great, and hopefully I can go to the next one, especially with like whatever is going on with my job, right? Which speaking of which is the next thing I want to talk about, which is my job transfer. That was actually a really significant thing that happened next in my 2025 my little itinerary. So basically, after my great time at Evo, I came back to this chaos that is, the warehouse, right, at FedEx. At this station I've been working at for like 2.5 years or 2 years, more or less. And, with everything that's been going on, I don't want to get into it too much. I've talked about it like on the previous video, but it was a sign for me to try to move on, and luckily I found a spot at another warehouse that's actually closer to me, and the pay was better. So I was like, yeah, you know what, let's go for it. And I got it, as much as one of the managers was like, they didn't like it because it was happening so fast right before peak season. It was just like, oh, I'm sorry, but I gotta take this opportunity, man. And so I was able to leave within 2 weeks of this whole process, when it usually takes about a month or so. So I got very lucky. I got out of there real fast, and I said my goodbyes to all the cool coworkers that I like really liked. If whenever I worked there, we're like a unit where we go through all the ups and downs, but this is the one thing I also learned from this whole experience is to treat yourself. You have to treat yourself because you are the most important person to yourself. You have to look after yourself before you start looking after for others, so to say. It's such an important thing that a lot of people forget, unfortunately, and it kind of bites them in the ass when it's a little too late. And I've been kind of guilty of that in the past because, it's like outside my comfort zone. Oh, I like it here, or the people like me here. So if I leave, they're going to be sad, so that guilt tripping happens. And so I just never, hardly ever take these sort of opportunities to sort of better myself on the job side of things, the working side of things. And that's kind of been honestly putting me in this sort of stagnating point, so to say. But this time around, I was not messing around. So I did it. I done it. Now I'm doing it right at the new warehouse, which is a little closer to me. Yes, now I'm dealing with customers. That's kind of one of the downsides. But the pay is better. The hours are very decent, and overall, my paycheck, of course, has been bigger. So it just checks off most of those boxes. But yeah, I'm dealing with certain new things now as a person who now deals with customers instead of dealing with boxes, so to say. I still deal with boxes, but now I deal with customers, and I'm not just solely putting boxes on the belt, so to say. But now I'm not doing that anymore, but I'm still moving boxes one way or the other to some part of the warehouse. And but now there are more times where it can be dead at the front counter, and I'm just sitting there and I'm getting paid to do that. So, but meanwhile, all my other old coworkers at the other warehouse, they're working their butt off, right, for lower payment per hour. And it's just like, damn, I got real lucky, and I was really lucky to get out of there pretty fast, especially with how certain people just get on my nerves. And just, yeah, I was not gonna have it for any longer. So that whole moment was such a big weight off my shoulders. I of course had to mention it here. So that was such a highlight for me, personally, for 2025. And speaking of the which, I gotta start get it going, right, with the rest of the video, because I gotta go to the gym, because yes, I'm back at the gym. That pretty much happened after the job transfer. I basically, well, actually, it was like right as I was like doing the transfer process. I got back into the gym. It's a cheaper one, and it's been working out for me very well because it's half the price. It's got everything still that I need or want for my workouts, and that's been compatible for my sort of rhythm and stuff like that. And now I can get back into or maintain my shape, more likely, right? And yeah, we'll see where that one goes. I might go more often. I may go the same amount, right? Which is technically once a week, but I do all my body parts, right, in that one day, instead of like spreading it out throughout the week, which is actually, it could be better for some people. It could be worse for some people, depending on who you are and how you go about your day. But everyone has their routines, and I have mine for right now, and then I'm gonna try to change it up a little bit, especially with what's going on with work. So try to adapt. You gotta always adapt. Try to make things work for you so that you can do the things you love doing. Kind of like what we did for the Hypecast. Kind of like what I do for work. Kind of like what I do for working out. All that fun stuff, etc., etc. And of course, same with detailing. It's all about adaptation and training yourself and stuff like that. So. Yeah, so that's basically also what happened for this last part for the video, which is the garage. So the garage actually had something that we didn't even know about for 30 plus years, and even longer than that, because the garage has apparently had these green tiles, right, for such a long time. And these green tiles, as somebody pointed out in the comments, were made of this banned substance or material called asbestos. You can look that up yourself, but basically it's a very dangerous substance, especially if you are susceptible to whatever is inside of asbestos. And it can up the chances of having sort of lung cancer or mesothelioma, blah, 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 right? And so once we found out and even got a positive on asbestos, through results from a company, we definitely had a contractor come in, rip out all that stuff, and now we just have this white paint-like substance on the floor, which is fine. That garage is not going to look pretty. It's just there to do its thing. It's very much function over form, and it's just there to hold stuff, and that's pretty much it. And actually store a car in that garage, and actually is now coming out even better, because like it's more organized, more clean. It just makes more sense for me anyway, as a detailing enthusiast. So in fact, I'm going to add a little more to the garage, including another reel of some kind for my rinseless wash setup. I'm gonna plan to do sooner or later, and then add one more shelf, and then we'll go from there. So it's gonna be way more organized, even more so. and it's just been kind of a slog at first because the process of actually having the people help and not help. They did all the asbestos removal, but now it's clean. There's no asbestos in there. They did the results again, and it's clean. Like it's passed, and we can now move on with that peace of mind. And now I'm gonna hopefully sneak in one more detail before the year ends, and that's pretty much that. So yeah, that's essentially the major highlights of this year. I know I kind of been going on, but yeah, it has been more of a significant year than some years before that. And especially if you're coming from, if you understand my perspective to some extent, yeah, that's essentially, you would understand pretty much. And so I just want to say, though, thanks for sticking around and kind of like checking out my progress, I guess, in a way, or how I've been doing, what I've been doing with the channel. And, even some people at Evil were like, hey, I noticed you were doing detailing stuff now. I'm like, yeah, so it's kind of like cool that they're actually like taking note of that too. So it's like such a surreal experience though for this year alone, because of all those things factoring into it. And of course, going into the next year, here's the one advice I would like to offer, which I just mentioned earlier, and that is to never forget to treat yourself, right? You really have to take care of yourself, because if you can't help yourself out, how can you help others? Essentially, because if you're like just depressed all the time, if you have something in the closet or something, right, in your own personal closet, how you're not going to be able to help other people proficiently. So it's very important that you do that for yourself. Like how I did for me when it comes to like my part-time job. Like if I just kept going with what I was doing, I would have been miserable, dude. I would not have been able to do a lot of these things for the rest of the year. I would have been so much more miserable. I don't know how I would react to just continuing to just deal with certain people at that job or that warehouse, and it's really just one person, really. It's just, it's kind of a unfortunate thing, and it's kind of a shame, because like you know what? I mean, if that wasn't a thing, honestly, it would have been more or less the same. But now knowing that, what is it like to do that transfer and going with the other warehouse that I'm at right now, it's hard to go back, of course. I can't, I'm so glad that I did it. And I'm glad that I actually just went for it, right? I gunned it, and it paid off with flying colors. Maybe to like from another perspective, it could be considered as a downgrade, because before I didn't really have to deal with people, but that's not really true now that I think about it, because I'm dealing with a freaking certain person that I have to like stick with for every single day, whereas a customer, I deal with him for like 5 minutes and they're gone, right? That's the sort of glass half full kind of perspective I've been looking at, or how I'm looking at it. So it definitely, I mean, even from a technical standpoint, it's an upgrade. So it's just things like that, right? You really have to make sure you take care of yourself. If you see an opportunity, go for it. And I know sometimes it is hard though, because you're in that comfort zone. You're kind of afraid to sort of like put your job security on the line, or that sense of security for other things on the line, whatever it is, whatever you want to go for. And you may have some things to lose, and you may have to make some sacrifices. Like, yeah, I can't really see my coworkers anymore over there, but the coworkers over there aren't so bad, and it'll take some time, but maybe over time we'll be really cool buddies or something like that. But we'll see about that. And if that doesn't happen, then it is what it is. But at least the job itself over there is just way more tolerable than over there. So again, things like that. Venture out to different hobbies like I've been doing with detailing and stuff like that. Not that detailing has been a completely new hobby. It's always been there. It's been multiplied because gaming sucks right now as a whole. And yeah. So take care of yourself, treat yourself first, and then treat others. That way you can actually help others 100%. Because if you're not 100% yourself, you can't help other people out 100%. Is another way to say it. So, anyways, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna stop rambling. Thank you guys so much for sticking it out and giving your time for all of 2025. Hopefully, 2026 will be another great year. I know it's been a world of chaos, right? Outside of our bubble, especially with like the world, right? All this other stuff left and right. But for ourselves, though, hopefully it'll be another great year. 2026, let's make it happen, guys, right? Whatever your goals you have brewing, go for it. And we'll see about myself. When it comes to future things, it's hard to say. I'm just going to continue what I'm doing to make myself happy. I'm going to continue to play Uma Musume. I'm going to continue car detailing. I'm going to continue to make videos as much as I can. That's really all I can say, honestly. And hopefully I can go to the next Evo because, yeah, the job, I got to the new job. So like the fiscal year, the vacation stuff is a little different. So it could be a little shaky as to if I can get those certain days off or not, but we'll see. So it is what it is, and if it doesn't happen, there's always the next year, and you gotta take it for what it is. So, anyways, hit the like, subscribe, really helps out, and I do appreciate you guys. Again, I'll definitely be back and just make videos whenever I can. Hopefully, there are new things that I want to try out that I can do. At least try anyway, which is I'm gonna say here. I'm gonna try to see if I can make a VTuber model myself, and I already have a design in mind. It's just a matter of actually rigging it, doing it, all that stuff. We'll see. And then another thing in mind is something in the garage, right? But that's not as significant as the VTuber one. And then just getting back into drawing. That's like another goal. I want to keep it consistent, right? Whenever I'm not gaming or whenever I'm not playing Uma Musume or whatever. I want to get back into drawing so bad, but you know what? With what's going on with Twitter and stuff like that, it just makes things a lot harder for me to kind of like do it because it's like, AI stuff, that's another thing too. Fuck AI. And that's all I got to say to that. Thank you very much. Hopefully 2026 will be a great year, and hopefully 2025 has been a great year for you guys. Leave it in the comment section below. How has it been? What your future plans are, and let's make it happen, guys. Let's make it happen. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Before that, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays, stay safe, and see you guys in the next one. Sean out.